Mark Zuckerberg's Meta is in a nosedive, and nothing seems to be in the way of its freefall. The company's problems are mounting, with no end in sight. Meta is fast moving from the biggest social media platform to a slowly dying unicorn. But what are the sources of Meta's woes after enjoying such incredible successes from its Facebook empire in the past? Stay until the end of this video to find out what happened and how the chances for a recovery of Meta will be. Today we will consider all the 7 reasons why Meta is on the road to a possible historical failure, which could be the guideline on how not to fail as a company. Before we start, subscribe to Ape Finance, our brand new investor community on YouTube for more unique content. Now, let's dive right in. Number 1. Dramatical company changes last year. Before Facebook went Meta a year ago, the social network giant's market valuation was $1 trillion, making it a unicorn among a select group of US technology companies known as the FANG companies. The scenery has changed dramatically recently. Since its peak in September 2021, the value of Meta has dropped by around 2/3. The company is likely to close out its 3rd consecutive quarter of double-digit percentage losses and is trading at its lowest point since January 2019. The success of Facebook stems from the network effect that occurs when one person invites their friends and family, who in turn invites their coworkers and friends. People were suddenly gathering together. Advertisers soon followed, and the company's resulting profits, which were substantial, allowed it to hire the most talented programmers and continue the cycle. But the cycle has turned around by the year 2022. Users are fleeing, and advertisers are cutting back, leaving Meta on track to record a 2nd consecutive quarterly revenue decline. In a sign of the times, companies are ditching Facebook's formerly ubiquitous social login button. New difficulties in hiring have arisen as CEO and creator Mark Zuckerberg devotes most of his time to talk about the company's long-term vision of a metaverse that will generate almost no money in the short term while spending billions annually to develop. And this is only the least of the company's worries. Let's go back in time to 2021 when Metaverse was announced. Number 2. Betting on one product is a bad idea. Many people watched Mark Zuckerberg's October 2021 announcement with disbelief and amusement when he said Facebook would change its name to Meta and devote itself to creating the metaverse.
I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta.
While some see this as brave, others see it more as prideful, given Facebook's lack of track record with anything besides its core social media service. Even more unfortunately for Zuckerberg, the history of personal computing is filled with spectacular failures, many of which were perpetrated by otherwise successful people and companies. The Amazon Fire Phone, Google Glass, Microsoft HoloLens, Magic Leap, and Apple Maps are just a few examples of ill-fated technological endeavors. However, neither Google, Apple, Amazon, nor Microsoft ever risked everything on a single misguided product or service launch. Whatever it wasn't a wholesale rethinking of the company's direction. Instead, it was an enlargement of their current service, a shot in the dark that may or may not pay off. However, with Meta, this is not the case. Number 3. Meta is not the gatekeeper into the metaverse. The potential of Meta is expansive, covering both VR and AR or MR. The latter, however, is being worked on by Google, Microsoft, and other smaller independent businesses. To put it another way, Meta isn't even a pioneer in this field, and it has to compete with leaders who have already invested billions in products that are in widespread use, such as game controllers and headsets. If it wants to revolutionize virtual reality, it must create devices that meet standards set by others, but not yet met. The company is not in the hardware business and has no track record of successfully launching its own devices, so reasonable skepticism is warranted. Despite the departure of the original founding team, the company has emerged as the market leader in virtual reality headset sales thanks to its acquisition of the widely used Oculus. When it comes to virtual reality, gaming is by far the most important and influential industry. In fact, Zuckerberg spent a lot of time discussing games and how integral they will be to the metaverse during his presentation. But for now, even the flagship metaverse app Horizon Worlds is so buggy that not even Meta employees want to use it. Meta has made it clear that it intends to become a gatekeeper to the virtual world by using the success of its heavily subsidized headsets to establish a position of power from which it can profit by regulating and taxing the virtual economy. Zuckerberg envisions a future where people can meet virtually with their friends and coworkers and have more immersive, personal interactions with them than through the flat screen of a phone or laptop, all within the same virtual space, spending hours at a time imitating travel by staring at a screen while strapped to a piece of plastic makes us believe we're somewhere else. But here's how the pandemic exposed the limitations of that seemingly brilliant idea. Number 4. Bad lessons from COVID-19. As the restrictions of the lockdowns on people's ability to engage in social activities continue to frustrate millions, many have taken to the streets in protest. Mark Zuckerberg used the 2 years' worth of most gloomy events, lockdowns, isolation, and a lack of social gatherings and turned them into a commodity. Zuckerberg saw people cooped up in their homes and decided, hey, this is great! Let's make our company all about it! If we've learned anything from the pandemic, it is that people need to get out into the real world and interact with other people, whether through travel, sports, or even just a stroll in the park. Most people despise the idea of being confined to their homes for days at a time to use a digital device. Thanks to the asynchronous nature of messenger apps, users can respond whenever it's convenient. With VR, this is not the case. It isn't an all-purpose piece of hardware and has its limitations. Unless the user is specifically seeking an immersive experience in that time and place, putting on a device to access anything is counterproductive from a UX standpoint. But to truly understand where all of this ends, let's look at the true motive behind Meta. Number 5. Isolation instead of bringing people together. Meta's vision of the metaverse is problematic because it undermines rather than enhances our world. A few use cases where virtual reality could be appealing already exist, such as gaming, making exercise more enjoyable, and virtual tourism. What is Meta's function beyond creating cutting-edge hardware based on the foundation laid by the Oculus purchase? There may be a reason why Zuckerberg wants to be a go-between and exert total control over the virtual world, but he's never explained why. In Zuckerberg's apparition of the metaverse, people can spend their entire lives in underground bunkers, immersed in VR, attending fictitious business meetings, decorating fictitious homes, celebrating fictitious holidays, and generally leading fictitious lives. He claims to be interested in fostering community and bringing people together. Still, his true goal is to isolate us from one another and have us replace genuine encounters with digital simulations, for which we will be charged real money. Number 6. The ads won't go away anytime soon. Although Meta has to make money in some way, CEO Mark Zuckerberg keeps stressing that everything the company has ever done is free, and that fees and prices for VR products are kept low to lower barriers to entry for both users and creators. The truth is, users are familiar with the status quo, in which ads are served based on information gleaned from their browsing history and other personal data. The company appears committed to employing the same framework with its virtual reality offerings. So, while the cost of entering Facebook's metaverse, excluding the cost of any necessary hardware, may be zero, you can rest assured that your idealistic virtual home or movie nights with friends will be constantly interrupted by one ad after another. While online advertisements can be highly distracting, they are ultimately ignorable. But when wearing your virtual reality headset, will you be able to? Number 7. Meta can't be trusted. The company has a very dubious reputation. Facebook has a poor reputation for many reasons, including the privacy invasions it has caused, the misuse of user data, and its inability to improve even its own social media platform. While Zuckerberg is busy dreaming up futuristic technologies, he has yet to get his core business in order. It's estimated that Facebook has 3 billion users, but how many fake accounts are used for scamming others? creating phony responses and comments, or hiding their true identities from Facebook's strict censorship. And how precisely does the company intend on policing that area? One recent case involves a woman who claims she was virtually gang raped during beta testing Horizon software. So far, Meta has had a hard time addressing these issues, so users have little reason to believe it can prevent the environment from devolving into a spam-filled, abusive, or even criminal hotbed. Today, the company is currently in a terrible state that could kill its prospects before it even has a chance to make anything of value, and there's nothing to make users believe that it cares more about their privacy than it has so far. Again, there is no evidence to suggest that it can deliver on its claims. Zuck's only accomplishment is Facebook. He opted to acquire Instagram or WhatsApp rather than compete with them. He gives the impression that he can't figure out how to appeal to TikTok's younger users. Also, his attempts to sell items on social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram were unsuccessful. Up until this point, every other attempt has failed miserably. In a nutshell, Zuckerberg has not made any significant advances beyond the initial concept of linking individuals and providing them with a timeline that aggregates information relevant to their interests. Now, not only has he decided to try his hand at VR, but he has staked his entire business on it. If he fails, which seems likely, Meta will be the biggest tragedy in the history of the internet. If you are thinking of investing in Meta, it's probably time to reconsider because the indicators don't look good. To place a short on Meta and betting on a falling stock price could be a better option, but much of the bad news is already priced in. So better stay away from Meta and look for another alternative to put your hard-earned money in. Anyway, we would love to hear your opinions in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Ape Finance for more insightful content. Cheers, and we will see you in the next video.